All right. Are we live? Yes, looks like we are live. Well, welcome everyone, my followers of darkness, shadow scavengers, and villainy aficionados. Welcome, bienvenue to another live review episode. I'm your host, Lord of Shadows. Now, I did mention give or take 4 days ago, I did mention that I'm on my Christmas break, and that I would have been on break ever, all the way till January 3rd. But for this specific live review, I was like, what the heck? I'm going to break protocol, which I did. Now, first and foremost, before we go to the main part of this, I just want to wish everyone here a Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you're enjoying your Christmas festivities, and alongside, wishing you a happy New Year. So, with all that being said, let's begin. The reason why, as I said before, this video, this live review, I had to do it because this for me was an exception. Because this is a movie that I've been waiting ever since it was announced, ever since I've seen the crate scene. I was waiting and waiting, and I finally, 2 days ago, I finally saw it. So here we are, breaking the protocol. Sonic the fucking Hedgehog 3. Yes, I finally got a chance to see it 2 days ago, and I will tell you right now, this movie, I'm going to say right away, this movie is incredible. It is mesmerizing. It is bonkers. It is a absolute video game movie perfection. Like, seriously, we have reached that point where basically that even a video game movie industry can have a trilogy, where basically we have reached that zone where basically you have, where basically every single movie gets better and better after the other. Like the first one, the first Sonic was great. The second one was even better, and the third one, they fucking delivered. Literally. Usually, when you have video game movies, they usually, they do just like the first one, and that's it. We're done. We're not going to do them anymore. Either, because it was either they had bad reviews, or either, no interest, or bad box office, or just simply the fans of the video game or specific video game franchises, they were just simply, bullshitting over and over again, so they were never made. But Sonic is a fucking exception here. Is a fucking exception, because I told you every goddamn movie all got better and better where we actually got a freaking video game movie trilogy. And Sonic the Hedgehog, I'm gonna say right away, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 fucking delivered. I was blown away at this movie. I was fucking blown away, and I can't wait to see it again next week after New Year's Eve. Cannot fucking wait. Now, let's go step by step, because I can talk literally all over the place, when it comes to how this movie made me felt and everything. So let's just go step by step, shall we? So for anyone who have not seen Sonic 3, yet, even though personally for me, what the hell are you waiting for? Go in the nearest fucking theater and fucking watch it, because trust me, Sonic fans and non-Sonic fans, trust me, you're gonna have a blast with this movie. I guarantee you. So basically, the premise of Sonic 3, if you don't know, if you have living under a rock all this time, but basically, the premise of Sonic 3 is you have Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic, facing a new mysterious adversary called Shadow the Hedgehog, And of course, the first battle they had with him, and of course, he went all sideways, basically, and now they had to make an alliance with a very unlikely character, to basically stop Shadow and the sinister plot behind him. So that's kind of basically the premise of Sonic 3. Now, I've said it before, this movie rocked. And again, talking about the characters and the cast list. I can go all over the place. My first initial reaction is, like I said, I fucking love this movie. It delivered on so many levels. It even went beyond my expectations, beyond my theories, beyond my, even doubts. I had about this movie, because when you usually have movies that have sequels, usually especially after the first one, you always kind of have like small little doubts that in some, if they might work or not, if they can get bad or whatever, and but no, even with Sonic 3, no, it just went to near perfection. And the characters, I mean, like I can go on and on, but like every single member of this cast list, like from the voices to our favorite characters, like from Ben Schwartz to Colin, Idris Elba, fucking Keanu Reeves, the legendary Jim Carrey, the guy who played Agent Stone, James Marsden, and also I have to be honest, guys, like I was really surprised to see Jessica Jones in this. I mean, the actress who portrayed Jessica Jones in this. That's one my big surprise I had from this movie. I mean, but overall, that like even her role, even though I would say like her role was like very minimum, but I will say this, that even for what she got, I always found her to be like an interesting character, But overall, every single cast member in this one, they did their job to perfection, And also, I just want to say right off the bat with the characters, the human characters in this case, but outside, Eggman and Gerald Robotnik, I know it looks like Jeff Fowler and the crew behind Sonic 3. It looks like from Sonic 2, it looks like actually they heard our like the people's complaints about like human characters having too much spotlight, especially from the Hawaii wedding scene and everything. So and in this movie, it looks like they actually fixed it, because trust me, there were no boring or slow scenes when it comes to human characters. Like the story just went on and on, like scene after scene after scene, moment after moment, step after step. And every single human character played a part in this story. No boring scene whatsoever. Like, each and every one of them worked perfectly. And most of all, I can guarantee you, the human characters, trust me, the entire movie is concentrated way more on Sonic and his team alongside the villains, rather, than like, James Marsden's character, the pretzel lady, Jessica Jones, and of course, pretzel lady's sister, and of course the guy from NCIS, but even though I would say this, like the sister and the NCIS guy, like it was kind of weird, the way how they use them in this movie. But like again, you have to see this movie to kind of like understand what I'm trying to say. But even like their role in this movie, in a very weird way, it kind of worked, But overall, human characters, I had no complaints. Like, each and every one of them had their moments, their scenes connected with the story. And like I said, no slow, no boring scenes whatsoever. It looks like, Jeff Fowler and the other crew literally listened to the complaints of Sonic 2. By the way, I just want to say this before I go to the main characters, which of course, I will. I will say this. Agent Stone in this, when it comes to human characters, Agent Stone really has a lot of moments to shine in this movie. He made actually his character even way more interesting to me. Not to mention the relationship, his relationship with Robotnik, in general. Damn, why I'm saying Robotnik? I'm always used to calling him Dr. Eggman. Now Robotnik. I mean, shit. But like anyway, not going too off the topic. Like I really liked what they did with Agent Stone. Giving him a lot of like precious moments to kind of establish more his character. And again, loved like his relationship with Eggman. I mean, I loved him through all like the first two movies, but in this movie, made me love Agent Stone even more. That's one thing I just have to say. But besides the human characters, which again, James Marsden's, all of them together, like Jessica Jones, none of them disappointed. Everyone fucking delivered. Now, when it comes to the overall main squad, the main characters, I mean, Ben Schwartz, Idris Elba, Colin, Keanu Reeves, Jim Carrey, every one of them fucking delivered, in this movie. Like always, I mean, Ben Schwartz was, fucking amazing as Sonic. He really did the job well done, when it comes to voicing the character. Colin, like always, she nailed as Tails. Idris Elba, again, amazing, badass, hilarious as Knuckles, as always, Now, Shadow and Eggman and Gerald, I'm going to talk about them a little bit later, but I will tell you this. Those three, for me, they were the stars of the movie. Shadow, Eggman, and Gerald, Like those characters for me were my favorite ones of this movie. Now, one of the things also, which kind of made me worried, especially when I saw the crates in the Sonic 2 about Shadow, finally appearing. What kind of a tone the movie is going to be? Now, don't get me wrong, just the first two movies, like this movie is more concentrated towards families and children, especially children. But I was kind of worried how they're going to handle this movie, mostly because of Shadow and his backstory and his connection with Maria Robotnik. So I will tell you this: like the tone, even though again they tried to keep it like light and humorous and enjoyable, especially for the children, especially for the families, for Sonic 3. But there's a lot of like dark and serious moments in this movie as well, especially connecting, going around like Shadow and Maria, like, especially that part, but either way, with the tone and everything, because, it has humor, it has, it has slapstick, he has humor, he has dark moments, serious moments. There are even a lot of like emotional moments as well in this movie. So the overall tone for me personally, they they fucking delivered when it comes to the overall tone, So, and the way how they tried to keep it in balance, like between, the light side, the humor, the comedy, being, for kids and everything with like dark and serious tones. I was literally impressed. How, how they did it. Now, one of the things that also I would say is one of the highlights of this movie, and that is the action sequences. This movie is literally action after action after action after action. You would tell, literally in the middle, like we're trying to tell what the overall story is, and we're going straight up to the next action sequences. Like oh my god, like the battle. I mean, the battles, like for example, when you like from the very beginning, when you have Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic going up against Shadow. Like from that and action sequences, also like the final battle at the end of the movie, and the other previous battles between Shadow and Sonic in general. I mean, like they're absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't go as far as say those like action sequences are literally. I would even go as far as say on like Avengers level when it comes to like action sequences, like on literally Avengers level, and the way how they did them, how they did it. It was just simply mesmerizing. Each and every one of them were done beautifully, especially towards the end between Sonic and Shadow. Like that was just simply absolutely, mesmerizing, to see, especially like on the big screen and everything. Like it just simply, man, I mean, I cannot praise like the action sequences enough. One of the other things also this movie was filled, just like it's just like the second one, especially. This movie, oh my God! Trust me, when you go in this movie, you're gonna have references and Easter eggs there, and trust me, you're not gonna be able to catch all of them. Trust me, because from specific soundtracks to like moments to name references to certain places that kind of remind people of something. Also references to like other other movie cultures and everything. Like this movie is filled with them, and trust me. Each and every one of them worked, But the one thing for certain, there's a lot of references and Easter eggs from like the Sonic video game series franchise that, trust me, a lot of Sonic fans will be blown away how much they are in it, and the way how they were delivered. For me personally, it was just simply, amazing. Now, one of the things I was trying to do in this review, I'm trying to be, spoiler free as possible. But when it comes to the references and Easter eggs, the only ones I can give you right now is the one also that we saw in the trailer, which of course is when Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic were like in Japan, or more precisely in Tokyo, and basically they were like in this place where, as you can see the picture right there, where basically you have them in like this kind of like chow, like family kids, like I would say like bar or something, and it was like so cute the way how they reference Chow, and also I mean, come on, that reference with Pokemon, I mean, that was just simply out of nowhere. I mean, I was surprised in the trailers, but I was also surprised in the movie as well when they mentioned the Pokemon, especially Detective Pikachu. I mean, like, oh my god, and also that the the way how Knuckles was like laughing about like. Tails being mistaken as Detective Pikachu, and he was like, Pika, he does look like a Pokemon, Pika Pika. Like That was hilarious. That was literally hilarious. Oh my god, But trust me, when it comes to references and Easter eggs, when you go see this movie, beware because there is a lot of them. A lot of them. Now, one of the things before I go any further, basically about like Sonic, is that one of the things I also have to praise about this movie is the CGI. Oh my god, Shadow, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, the way how they look in this movie, they look so clean, so perfectly made from every detail, every facial expression, like they just look, the CGI on them looked like pure perfection. You can definitely feel the budget this time was actually way more higher than the previous two movie. You can definitely feel it, and they fucking delivered. Oh my god. Now, one of the other things that I really loved about this movie is Team Sonic. Now, I do have to talk about that. I mentioned before, like Ben Schwartz, Idris Elba, Colin, they all did a fantastic voice performance when it comes to, bringing these characters to life. But what I really loved about them in this movie is that the overall teamwork, seeing all three of them together, working together, talking with each other, the confrontations, like seeing them, getting closer and closer ever since the second movie. Like, oh my God, it was so perfect. It's like literally watching them while I'm playing a video game. Like, it was literally like their relationship, their teamwork. It was literally like brought to life, from a video game. Like it was just simply beautiful. Like one of my favorite moments, especially when it comes to Team Sonic, like all three of them together. One of my favorite moments. I'm not gonna go into spoilers what it's all about, but there's a certain thing that happened in London where basically it made Sonic confront Tails and Knuckles. I'm not gonna say what it was and what they were talking and everything, but the one thing I can tell you, like that little confrontation that Knuckles and Sonic had in that moment, the overall emotion they showed, between each other, the overall connection and the kind of frustration, and like I said, the overall confrontation. Like you can definitely feel how much they have been through, all three of them together. How close they become and everything. I mean, like just from the very beginning when they were trying to race each other and everything. Like it just simply shows you how much they've grown ever since the end of Sonic 2. Which again, very, very beautifully execute. I mean, Jeff Fowler, the way how he did this, he just simply I'm telling you, just like in the first two movies, you could definitely feel the crew behind those movies, alongside Jeff Fowler. You can definitely feel that they know their shit. Like they know this franchise. They did everything with their heart and soul. Like, they executed everything with care. And I love that, So yeah, definitely one of my biggest positives in this movie is Team Sonic. Seeing them working together, confronting each other, being emotional, how showing how close they are and everything, that how much they need to depend on each other, trust each other, the friendship. Oh my God, like just simply beautiful. But now, talk about all that. Let's start with, of course, with the main thing. One of the two elephants in the room. So let's start with the smallest one this time, which of course is, we have to talk about him. Now again, I could have mentioned him in during the characters in the cast listing, but this is something I have to talk separately. Shadow the Hedgehog. First and foremost, Keanu Reeves as Shadow. Like, this is a fan cast that not just me, but other Sonic fans have been begging. Oh shit. Hi, Yobozen. Hi, welcome to the live review. Hope you're enjoying it so far. So, again, as I mentioned before, like Keanu Reeves as Shadow, like this is a fan cast, as I mentioned before, like it's not just me, but almost everyone else in the Sonic community, they wanted to see come to life. And like, again, Jeff Fowler, like reading our minds or something, like he delivered with Keanu Reeves being cast as Shadow, and the way he performed as Shadow was absolutely pure perfection. I had no negativity whatsoever about his performance as Shadow. Through that seriousness, that stoic, and that the deeper tone of his voice, the way he portrayed Shadow, I mean, oh my God, he literally, just like Ben Schwartz did with Sonic or Idris Elba with Knuckles, he brought this character to life. Like the angry moments, the serious moments, the emotional moments, like what Keanu Reeves did with this voice performance as Shadow was just simply absolutely fantastic. It was like literally a dream come true. Every moment that Shadow was on scene, I was captivated all the way till the end. And also, speaking of Shadow, I love the way how Jeff Fowler, because Jeff Fowler was right. Like a lot of Sonic fans will be really happy with how Shadow the Hedgehog was executed in this movie, and I definitely agree with him, because they really tried. I'm not going to say 100%. I would say like 90 to 95% of the character, especially when it comes to his origin story. They kept it, as he was in the games. We like I said, a few bits and pieces when it comes to his origin story were changed, but just because they needed to fit it in the movie, basically, But even those changes were absolutely acceptable, at least for me, So, and again, seeing Shadow with a gun, because a lot of people have been asking, ever since Shadow that he was going to be in this movie. They were all begging, no, please, please, please let Shadow have some weapons, in this movie, and they did. For just a brief moment, he had a fucking gun, just like we saw in the trailer. No, another big spoiler. I love, because Jeff Fowler, I do remember he was connected to the Shadow the Hedgehog, video game. So seeing him having that gun is literally Jeff Fowler basically paying homage to that game, which I still think today that it's not a bad game. It's definitely not a bad game, But overall, I love this character so much. Seeing him on the big screen brought to life, through Keanu Reeves' performance was absolutely amazing. And one of the other things that I have to mention, I was so happy the way how they portrayed his relationship with Maria. Oh my God, because that's one of the things I was kind of afraid how they're going to do it, because that part of Shadow's character is actually pretty dark and, very emotional. So I was kind of afraid the way how they're going to execute that, but they actually did it. I mean, of course, they changed a few things, especially with Maria Robotnik's character. They changed a few things, but still the way how they delivered, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I felt it. I felt it. Her character. I felt it. Her their friendship, their connection, the overall emotional moments. With them, with Maria. It was I had no complaints whatsoever. And also I have to say I congratulate the actress who played Maria Robotnik. I really, really liked her performance as Maria. So overall, I mean, again, what they did with Shadow, like I said, from the confrontation between him and Sonic, from the personality, the overall depth of his character, like I said, all the pain and loss and suffering he's been through, again, magnificently delivered through Keanu Reeves' performance. I mean, it's literally, it was literally watching John Wick in a in a hedgehog form. And again, I really hope we're going to see more of Shadow in the future, especially Keanu Reeves voicing him. I mean, I'll be honest here. I think Keanu Reeves, there's a way more bigger chance of Keanu Reeves continuing as Shadow than doing another John Wick movie. Because for Keanu Reeves, this is way more easy, because all he has to do is simply do some voiceover and that's it. But overall, no complaints whatsoever. The relationship between him and Maria, between him and Gerald Robotnik, the overall backstory, the overall characters, performance, throughout this movie, no complaint whatsoever. It was absolutely fantastic the way how they delivered him. The overall as a character. I mean, I went out completely satisfied. And also kind of asking for more of Shadow. For in the near future. But speaking of, let's talk about the other elephant in the room. And of course, that is the main villain himself, Dr. Eggman, and of course, his grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. or as I like to call them, as Eggman said, W villains, W fun, because this time we have Jim Carrey not just simply returning as Dr. Robot or Dr. Eggman, but also as his fucking grandfather. And just like Keanu Reeves with Shadow, he fucking delivered. I mean, already for me personally, Dr. Eggman, his performance as Dr. Eggman was always like, for me, immediately after the Sonic 2, it just simply raised up there on the pantheon of like other Jim Carrey's characters, like Ace Ventura, The Grinch, The Mask, Count Olaf. Like he was already there, but in this movie, what Jim Carrey was capable of doing, not just simply with Eggman, but also portraying Gerald Robotnik, is just simply something else. I wouldn't even go as far as say is like even awards worthy. Because one of the things I was kind of afraid of is how he's going to portray Eggman and Gerald, because Gerald is way different than what Eggman is, and again, with even that fear just went away, because the way he portrayed him, I mean, sure, you can definitely, even in Gerald, you can definitely feel like Jim Carrey's presence, but they're still so different. They're still very, very different. In the movie, and I love that. Like Gerald, because I always said Gerald was like way more serious than like what Eggman was. Because like Dr. Eggman for me, he was always like this like short-tempered, eccentric, like mad scientist. Gerald was actually like kind of like way more serious, way more stoic, way more hardcore than what Eggman was. And again, one of the other things I do have to mention about the way how they went with Dr. Eggman's journey in this movie, all the way till the end, it just simply, for me personally, it worked. Again, I don't want to give any spoilers, especially for the grand finale, but like Dr. Eggman's character arc throughout the all three movies, like this movie literally brought his character to an absolute perfection. Like he finally became the Eggman we all knew and loved from the video games, and again, like and again, I'm really thankful that Jim Carrey returned for this, because like I think like one of the main reasons why he returned is because he was going to play another he was going to do a double act this time, and by the way, there's also like a fourth wall reference to that. I'm not going to go into deep spoilers with that, but there's like a deep reference. There's like a fourth wall reference in this movie between Gerald and Eggman, but overall, again, it was brilliantly delivered, But one of the things also that really interests me is the most is the like how they're gonna use Gerald Robotnik, because like in the games, spoiler alert, in the games, Gerald Robotnik like died like many years ago, like basically being shot by I think it was like a guns firing squad, basically. So I was kind of really interested, like how come like Jeff Fowler and the entire crew are gonna try to how come they decide to bring Gerald back, like actually making him being alive and everything, like how they're gonna use that, and they use it perfectly, and they actually used it in a pretty good way, like they the overall execution was actually, I was completely like satisfied in the end, and in the end I was like even like okay, I got it, why they kept Gerald alive and everything. But again, going back to what I was trying to say is that I was really interested now that Gerald is alive. I was always interested, even when I was playing the games, I was always interested if Gerald was alive. Shit, if we have another. Josiah Woods, Sonic Movie 3. Yeah, I'm doing a review. Yes, I'm doing a review of Sonic 3 right now. Yep. So, again, one of the other things I really have to comment, I was wondering, because like even when I was playing the video games, I was always wondering, like, what if Gerald Robotnik was alive? And he met with Dr. Eggman. So what kind of relationship they would have, And again, this was like ever since Sonic Adventures 2, like this is an idea that I had ever since then, in my head. So seeing it come to life, in this movie was also kind of like a personal wish that came true, in a way. And oh my God, like again, their relationship. There are some like certain scenes in this movie that kind of like very crazy, very Jim Carrey level craziness, between that goes between them, and they were definitely created, mostly because it's a kids movie and everything. But even still, they're absolutely hilarious. But besides those scenes, their overall relationship between them, kind of also, discovering how different they are from each other. It was just simply so. It was a very interesting ride to me. That's how I would have described it. It was a very interesting ride, throughout this movie. Especially towards the end, because towards the end, it kind of also shows you how like Gerald Robotnik is actually way more. How Gerald Robotnik is really different from Eggman. Like for example, there are certain moment in this movie, especially towards the end, where kind of like it's revealed, like basically Joe Robotnik's sinister plan is revealed basically. Jesus, like these comments are really going. The Hardingverse. Hello, Hardingverse. Welcome to my Sonic live review episode. Welcome. The more the merrier. So when, like, again, so with Joe Robotnik's sinister plan is revealed, there's this like little conversation that Eggman and Joel, had, which I really loved, and kind of made me interested. Kind of made it interested, kind of like revealing the true nature of Gerald Robotnik, and also kind of revealing more about Eggman as well. In which, like, Gerald, you can kind of even criticize, kind of comment that he's actually way more sinister and way more evil than Eggman, which again, it's a very surprising thing to say, because especially, how Eggman was throughout the games and everything and other different TV shows and all. But in this particular movie, it is revealed that Gerald Robotnik is way more cold, way more sinister and evil than Eggman, because from Eggman's perspective, like it's actually shown throughout this moment. Jesus, like the Harding. I'm starting to do a movie called the Hardingverse movie. Oh, good for you, Hardingverse. Can't wait to hear about it. Good for you. Anyway, so the one thing I was kind of interested is, like, throughout their confrontation, is that basically that it kind of shows that even someone like Eggman has like morals, like kind of like even like he kind of shows you that even his evil has some like certain lines that that it shouldn't be crossed and everything, which was really interesting, really interesting to see, But overall, like both characters for me, like worked perfectly, and I was completely fine with Joe Robotnik being alive and everything. Although when they revealed his age, that was kind of like bonkers, but like hey, it's a Sonic universe, so anything is possible. But the thing is, like Dr. Eggman worked, Joe Robotnik worked, Jim Carrey gave a magnificent performance with both those characters, and like I really loved every single second of them, of their appearance in this movie, and the way how Dr. Eggman's character arc went throughout this entire movie is just simply magnificent for me personally. It's just simply magnificent, and he kind of gives his character arc, being to official finish line. Let's just put it that way. Which kind of leads me to this, my final thoughts. So basically, for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, again, one thing I'll definitely say this is by far my favorite of the three. It gave again, just like every single movie got better and better. Like this movie literally fucking delivered. And made this like Sonic trilogy absolutely like, overall complete. It really stuck to the landing. I love every single character in this movie. The villains worked. Shadow was amazing. The voice performances were great. Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, again, it was great seeing them working together. And I kind of like how close they become and everything. The human characters, even for me, worked. The action sequences were absolutely amazing. Really Avengers level like. The soundtrack also amazing, with some like Sonic video game references as well, dropped in it as well, especially towards the end, with also some like twists and turns and revelations they had in this movie. Also for me worked, especially one specific moment that was kind of like blurred, throughout the second trailer, but still for me, when you see it on the big screen, for me was like, oh my god, like it was really good, So overall, again, It was hilarious. It was funny. It was fun. It was dark. It was serious. It delivered on everything. It really made me go out of the theater completely satisfied. And at the same time, kind of interested where they're going to go after this, So overall, even though we already know that Sonic 4 is happening, but as an overall trilogy, it's stick to the landing, which again, it is very unusual because we never got a video game movie as a trilogy, which where basically every movie gets better and better after the from the first one to the next one. Like what Jeff Fowler and the crew did with the Sonic movies is simply absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So again, I went out of the theater completely satisfied. Now, I will warn anyone who didn't watch Sonic 3, by the way, there's a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. And trust me, both of them are worth it to sit down on your ass and wait for them. Because trust me, you are not prepared for these credit scenes. Believe me. Because, especially the first one, the mid-credit scene. You're not prepared for this, And also the second, but the post-credit scene, it's, again, also amazing, even though for me personally, I kind of saw it coming, but also kind of gives you a clue where the Sonic franchise can go after this. And the mid-credit scene, also, I'm going to have to comment, for me personally, I saw it coming. What basically was going to be revealed, but still seeing it, it was just simply absolutely mind-blowing, But again, I'm not going to say what they are, but I will say they're absolutely fantastic. Which, in the end, leaves me to the overall rating of Sonic 3. Now, for Sonic 2, I gave Sonic 1, I think it was an 8 out of 10. Sonic 2 was an 8.5. So I'm giving Sonic 3, which for a lot of people think that's too much, but hey, that's my review. If you want to do your own review, do your own rating as well. But for Sonic 3, my overall rating is going to be this. 9.5 out of 10. Again, I really had no flaws with this movie. The kind of complaints I had are really, really nitpicky. For example, if it's not a full 10, I would say the only nitpicky thing was some funny moments between Gerald and Eggman, And again, if you have watched the movie, you kind of understand what I'm talking about. And the only reason why it's not a full on 10 is because of that, because I felt even for me that was a little bit too much. But again, it didn't bother me. I found this kind of to be nitpicky, so I'm going with a 9.5 out of 10. I went out completely satisfied, completely blown away. Everything for me worked. I went out as a happy moviegoer, video game fan, and a Sonic fan, most of all. And I can't wait to see what they're gonna do next in the future for Sonic. Especially after that post-credit scene. So it's a 9.5 out of 10 shadows for me. And with that being said, we have come to an end to another live review episode. I hope you guys enjoyed my overall review of Sonic 3. I hope you find it interesting. Overall, you guys know the drill. Comment, like, subscribe. Give me your own personal thoughts about if you have seen Sonic 3. Give me your own personal thoughts about what you liked about this movie. What was your favorite moment? Who was your favorite character? About the post-credit scene, the mid-credit scene, the overall Sonic 3 thoughts in general. Everything in the comment section down below. Now, again, for this particular video, I wanted to make an exception because I'm officially on break until January 3rd. So, but again, I had to do a review for Sonic 3. I just simply couldn't wait. So stay tuned, guys, for another live videos coming up in the near future from January 3rd onwards. So again, I wish you all a merry holly jolly Christmas. Enjoy your Christmas festivities, and of course, a happy new year. And until then, see you guys next year. Or should I say, later, fuckers.